Hello friends, family, total strangers. This is part 2 of camping etiquette, and yeah, let me get you back to what I was talking about. Okay, so back to boondocking. This is, I think, probably the most important thing. All of the other things are important in etiquette. This goes beyond etiquette. Douse your campfire. And when I say douse your campfire, I mean make campfire soup. You want it completely out. And it amazes me how many people are blasé about this. And out here in the West especially, but even back east they're starting to have more forest fires. There was that big one near Gatlinburg a couple years ago. Douse your campfire. If you're going to have campfires, make sure they are completely out before you go to bed. You know, because if you just decide to let it burn and burn out, let it burn out. So there's no more open flames. It's now just coals and it's sitting there. So many people are just like, oh, well, it'll burn itself out. I'll go to bed. If the wind picks up, you know, 999 times out of 1,000, it'll be fine. It'll still burn out. But that 1 in 1,000 chance, or even if it's 1 in 100,000 chance, that an ember will kick up, light some grass on fire, and all of a sudden you got a forest fire. There are thousands and thousands of people out there having fires all summer. Don't just put your fire out. And if you don't have enough water to make campfire soup, then don't have a fire. Or, you know, there's another option where you can do, which is use firewood that's no thicker than your thumb, and it burns down easier. It burns down to ash, and it's much easier to put out. You can put it out with less water. But generally, if I'm going to have a campfire, I will have a campfire somewhere where I have access to a creek where I can just scoop up some water and dump it on the fire and get it nice and out. So put out your campfires. I don't think anything is more important than that, because the wildfire season is just getting more and more out of control. It's more and more of a problem, and just don't be that person that starts a forest fire. Another part to that, getting onto campfires for a second, is don't transport wood across state lines. And don't even, I mean, get your wood locally, because the reason that is you can spread all sorts of different diseases to new areas, whether it's disease or parasites or fungus or even, you know, insects to a new area of the country that they haven't been before. Don't do that. Buy your wood locally if you're going to buy it. Gather it locally if you're going to gather it, and don't take it with you. Don't take it with you. Just, you know, if you got more than you need, just let the next guy burn it. Because, you know, it comes around, because you'll go to a campsite that has firewood, and perfect. So, yeah, and also don't, make sure before you gather wood for a fire that it's okay to do that. There are, especially out in the desert, there's lots of places where you're not supposed to gather wood because there's so little organic material that down wood needs to break down into the soil just to support the grasses and cacti and other things that are there. So, yeah. That's all part of Leave No Trace, so let's get into Leave No Trace a little bit. So if you've done a lot of backpacking, you probably know what Leave No Trace is, but you know, maybe a lot of other people don't know what that is. There are these 7 principles. I'm not going to go through all the principles, but I'll go through just a couple of the ones that I think are important to van life. use existing sites and roads. Don't create new roads through the BLM or the forest or whatever. Don't just create a new path, and try not to create new campsites, because there's probably already existing sites that you don't need to do that. And if people are all of a sudden creating new roads, creating new campsites, the Forest Service or BLM might respond by restricting that area to maybe a day use only area or many other things. So don't do that. Keep a clean camp. So pick up your garbage. I don't think I think everybody knows to do that. But also, this is really important. If you're not going in your van in a bag, or you don't have an RV with a toilet, and you're going out in the woods, dig a cat hole. Dig a proper cat hole, at least 6 to 8 inches deep. And the reason that you want to do that is for a couple of different reasons. Surface poos are disgusting. You're leaving crap in somebody's campsite. It'll wash off and down into the next water source. So if you dig it 6 to 8 inches deep, the microbes in the soil will break it down. It won't enter the water table, and it'll break down. Toilet paper, if you're digging a hole 6 to 8 inches deep, you can probably throw it in there, unless you're above tree line. Otherwise, you can pack it out in a Ziploc. But, for the most part, you can probably just throw it in the hole and bury it. And it'll break down with the microbes in the soil and the poo. So yeah, don't surface poo. There's nothing worse than when you get to a site and there's toilet paper like in the campsite, dirty toilet paper in the horrible. Dig a hole, bury it. So this is just a quick pickup shot I realized I missed. Also, when you dig your cat hole, make sure you're at least 200 feet away from a water source. So don't poo near a water source. And also, don't wash your dishes in a creek. Just take the water, take it 200 feet away, and wash them there. And keep in mind, if you have biodegradable soap, it's biodegradable in soil. It's not biodegradable in water, and it can change the pH balance. So don't wash in a creek or a stream, even with biodegradable soap. Go 200 feet from a water source. And also, don't throw food waste just around at a campsite thinking that it's biodegradable, whether it's banana peels or orange peels or eggshells, because it will attract animals. And although, yes, it could break down over time, it'll attract animals, and then there will be aggressive animals in the campsite. So yeah, don't do that, especially like raccoons and things like that, which will get into the next camper's stuff. And yeah, don't do that. So not only pick up your own garbage, but if there's garbage in the site and you have the room and the wherewithal, pack some of it out, take it out. There's responsible users of public land and there's irresponsible users. And the problem is that the irresponsible users they pretty much represent us. They represent all of us. And going back to what I said earlier, if the BLM or Forest Service is constantly having a problem with campsites being trashed and all these problems and surface poos and garbage everywhere, they're probably going to end up shutting that down and turning it into a day use only area. So I'm not telling you to clean up other people's surface poos or dirty toilet paper, but if there's beer cans and bottles and garbage around the campsite and you got room to take it, take it. Clean it up and preserve our access to those public places. And the exact opposite of that is if you find an artifact like let's say a really cool seashell or a pottery shard or something like that. If you take it, you know, first of all, it's probably just going to go in a junk drawer and you're never going to do anything else with it. But when you see that, it's like, oh, wow, check out this pottery shard, or oh, wow, check out this seashell. If you put it back, if you don't put it back, you're essentially taking somebody else's wow. And it's just going to go in a junk drawer, and you're probably never even going to, like, nothing's out of context. It has no value. But in context, next to a, you know, an amazing red rock canyon, there's a pottery shard. It's awesome. Leave it there for the next person to see it. You know, and there's a fine line between artifacts and old garbage. But you'll know the difference when you see it. So yeah, let me show you my footage from Joshua Tree. We'll take a little break here. This should be the last of it. If you come into the park from the south like I did, you almost forget about the Joshua trees until you get to up past Skull Rock, and then yeah, they're pretty prominent after that. Pretty awesome. This is the Hidden Valley trailhead and picnic area. I had to do a couple laps to find a parking spot. I have noticed that the farther north you get in the park, the closer you get to the population centers and the busier the trails get. So there's definitely a lot of people on this one. Okay, so this should be the last of the Joshua Tree footage. This footage actually has Joshua trees in it. Yeah, Joshua Tree was such an amazing park. I took so much video of it. I think this is the 4th video with footage from the park because I took that much footage. It's very diverse from the different parts of the park. So Joshua Tree was amazing. Definitely want to go back and explore it more, and definitely want to do more backpacking there. It was super awesome. Joshua Tree's awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much my video. I know this is ended up being a kind of a long one, and I might have gotten a little preachy in it, so sorry. And thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. Thanks a bunch.